can hear you. I just requested Shibaku tribes to co-host. I'll
Perfect.
try to do it again. It's crapping out sometimes.
Yeah, this is beta at best, but we live with it.
Oh, great. Now we have Shibaku. So Nick said he will be also joining us in about 6 minutes, to be precise. But we can give it a few minutes.
Give it a few minutes. Be cool if there was like an easy way to play like elevator music or something.
You can sing.
I could sing, people would leave. Double-edged sword. My beautiful
Yeah,
voice.
we should play the Shibaku music. If you're coming from your laptop, you can just start it, and it will play maybe in a not such a good quality.
So talking of Shibaku, yesterday in the Shibaku saying it's not letting him talk, saying he's muted when he's not. Oh, so maybe that's an issue with your device, Chris. You might need to restart Twitter, mate. I don't know if you're using Android or iPhone, but like Android is particularly buggy. iPhone is not so buggy, and you definitely can't use a computer.
Yeah, I was thinking that Chris must be muted because he's here and he still haven't said anything. That's not right.
Because he can't respond, we can say whatever we want now, frankly. So yeah. So yesterday I went from having a number 10 rarest Shibaku to having no particularly rare Shibakus now after the adjustment on the rarity sniper.
Oh, but they're still special to you. It's a bit like when you get a dog and you think it's like a really good breed, and then you realize that the papers were fake, and it just grows into some kind of weird fluffy bear, and the ears don't stand up, but you still love it.
Oh, so you've met my dog then?
Sorry, what?
You've met my dog then?
Is your dog also supposedly a really purebred, and then it turned out to be something completely different?
No, he's a gypsy king. He's a little bit of everything, but he's got this whole really cute thing where he's got one ear that points up and the other one flops over, and that's just,
I thought it was a boxer actually when you showed the picture, but I don't know. I'm from Russia. Maybe something that I thought were boxers was so.
So you misrepresented the boxers.
Yeah. Now we're talking about real dogs.
Real dogs.
But now Chris should be able to talk because I can see the mute button disappeared. Yeah, I'm thinking what kind of dog to get for my kid because he's still too small, but he loves dogs, and I think as soon as he starts talking, he will ask for one. And I'm just wondering which one to get because I used to have my last dog was a mix of German Shepherd and Newfoundland, and it was quite massive and a really cool dog, but I'm not sure I'm prepared to have that in the flat. So, yeah, speaking of dog rarity.
Pomeranian?
They're a bit naff. I don't know. I heard they're good for kids, but they also seem a bit fragile.
Do you know what is a good dog for a flat and small spaces-ish? And they're quite, like, chill? French Bulldogs.
Yeah, they fart a lot, I heard. But
Depends on what you feed them. Depends on what you feed them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also heard they're good starter dog for a kid because they're quite robust. You don't want to have a very neurotic dog to experience like a 4-year-old or something like this.
Yeah. Frenchies are like tough. They're fun. They're very loving, super cute. They're very chill. They can sleep all day type thing. You don't need to like have lots of runs and stuff. You can take them out for a run and they're good. But
yeah, that's a good point. They've also becoming quite popular for that reason.
So Chris says he's still muted.
I don't want to rug and restart the whole thing. Maybe try to come from a different device.
Can you unmute him?
My end, he's not muted at all.
Yeah.
So I can just remove him from hosts and
kick him and then invite him back.
Yeah. Remove his removed now, not unremovable. Remove. Okay, let's see. So I just removed him completely from the spaces.
Maybe it's easier to bring him back as a speaker. Maybe not as a...
Yeah. So I'll try to do this. Okay. Now there is a speaker invite. Oh, great. Now we can hear you.
Oh, brilliant. Every time I joined, it was only letting me join as like a listener for some reason. And then it just gave me an option to join as a speaker. And I thought that sounds better.
Yeah, the co-host thing can be a bit glitchy, I think.
Either
Hey,
way,
everyone.
I'm here. Oh, and this is Nick. There we go. It was like we planned this.
How is everyone doing?
Wow.
Good, thanks.
See a couple of Shibakus in the crowd. Nice. Yeah, so what are we talking about today? Are we focusing on Shibaku today? Is that the idea?
Yeah, let's talk a bit about what happened in 2021 for Shibaku and what 2022 looks like.
All right. I think just for those joining, I think it's probably a good idea to give an overview of what we've been working. You can see we're hosting this with finance.vote. We make governance infrastructure or DAO infrastructure. So we're very bullish on DAOs and the future of DAOs, and we're making all the apps that we think they'll need, a bit like the Google Apps ecosystem, but for DAOs, and that's very different. It involves tokens, involves voting for like democracies, so we're very focused on voting technology. We've been going for about 18 months now. We've built 6 apps that are basically functional and ready to go. And in order to showcase this stuff, we've incubated our own DAO, which Shibaku is part of. And the idea is that this DAO is what we call Tribes DAO. And our vision is that we can give NFTs to each of the tribes of crypto. So the first tribe is the Dogcoiner tribe, since they were very popular in 2021. We thought we'd hit them first. And we've got this kind of beautiful 3D NFT, which acts like a key, which opens up these 3D spaces where you'll be able to use play to earn games and earn some cryptocurrency, make some friends, vote on stuff. And yeah, we're really enjoying it so far. Chris, that good an overview?
Yeah, I think that's the most succinct one we've had in terms of, because usually I do it and I just waffle for an hour and then everyone's, yeah, I'm going to go now. But yeah, so I think you've done that far better than I normally do.
I wanted to add also, I think what at least attracts my attention to Shibaku is that the mint itself is already democratically governed by people who hold NFTs while the mint is ongoing. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, exactly. So we opened up, I think we had 2 actually, but we've had 2 votes so far on what the mint price and allocation should be while that window was open. And we adjusted it as per the request of the tribe and the DAO, which are one and the same. And as we stand right now, the window is now closed and we're going to be opening up. Now's as good a time as any for me to just quickly give an overview of the way the minting process will work going forward. So we're going to be hosting these things called minting parties, which we did one of as a sort of a precursor to what's to come the other night, which was a lot more low key and less fanfare than the ones we will be doing going forward. But essentially what happens is we'll partner up with someone. It could be another NFT project. It could be an influencer that may have been decided on via the DAO and the tribe again. And essentially, we'll give them a whitelist for their community. So they will be able to invite 500, 1,000 people to mint a Shibaku over a specific time period. It's that time period or not. It's a bit like the transfer window. If anyone's familiar with the Premier League, a window opens where you can basically buy all your Shibakus. And then once that window's shut, you can't buy any anymore. But these are going to be specifically catered to influencers and their own communities. And each time we'll do this, we'll also offer a small section of the whitelist to our existing Shibaku holders who may want to grab some more, and we'll also do giveaways as part of this as well. But the idea is, it's I suppose what you'd say in like TV terms is like appointments of view. It's like it's a moment in time where you have to be there to be able to mint, and then the window shuts, and if you didn't make it, you didn't make it until the next window opens. But those parameters for those mints, how much people will pay in that community and how many they'll be able to mint per person, will again be influenced by the tribe and the DAO. So everyone will have a say on the allocation and mint price going forward for all of these individual windows. And it was quite interesting. We're starting to, a few of our data analysts who we work with, I'm not sure if any of them are in the chat here, but we were chatting yesterday with them in terms of looking at the trends that were occurring with the votes for the mint allocation. And what was interesting is, like with quadratic voting, which some of you may be familiar with, some of you may not, it essentially allows you to vote on multiple options, but also within that state your preference or the intensity of your preference between those options. And what was interesting with the votes for the allocation and the mint price is that users were just tending to go all in really passionately on their choice. That was, I think the choice was like 1.85 per person, the average amount of choices. So it was like, this is what I want and I want it a lot. And so everyone seems very clear on what they think pricing and allocation should be like. Whether that changes now because we're now over 10% minted and it's going to be specific groups that can mint, we shall see. But I think it's a really great way of doing it, because at the end of the day, the holders and the owners are as much a part of this as anyone else. So it's only right that they get a say in this and all other aspects of Shibaku.
Did you come across before, like, I'm not as much in modern NFT minting space as you are. Did you come across that before, when NFT holders actually affect the mint? Or
I
is
haven't
it like,
seen
are we
it.
doing something completely radically different? Because
I mean,
normal,
Nick
yeah,
might,
sorry, carry on.
no, I was going to say Nick might have a slightly more awareness about that, but I certainly haven't seen it while the mint is live, like closing the mint momentarily and then reopening it. And what was great is like the vote ended and within the hour the new parameters were live, and so it was like an instant impact that the community had on the pricing and the allocation. But it's not something I've been familiar with, and it definitely feels very, it just feels fair. It feels like that's the way it should be. Like, until you've minted out, that it should be up to the community who hold it to have a say in what those parameters are. Nick, do you know of any other project that did that?
I don't know many with DAOs, so that's what's needed in order to make it work.
Because
which is
the normal, what makes it so different from any normal mint is actually, this is like the birth of the NFT DAO, right?
yes, correct. So the principle of it is a tribe. So the tribe should decide who gets let into the tribe. We built a new minting suite for this, which allows us to whitelist potentially hundreds of millions of addresses if we wanted to. So we whitelisted every Shiba Inu holder, for example, on the initial sort of pre-mint. The initial sort of opening mint phase was Shiba Inu holders can mint, and then some other dog tokens. We managed to get some Doge holders in who connected their ENS to their Doge wallet. And so that was the kind of first tranche of the tribe, if you like. And there was a few FET holders in there as well who are kind of fans of our dApps. So now we're at the stage where the tribe needs to decide who else can come in. And for that, you need kind of voting technologies. Who do we want in? Who do we want to partner with? Who do we want in our tribe? And the users should control that, as far as I'm concerned. If it is a community, you want to curate that community. So it's a bit like the users themselves are the doorman on their community, or the bouncer letting people in. So that's the kind of decisions they've got to go next.
I'm opening up a vote to deny all Liverpool fans, for example.
It's a bit like how political parties are formed, right? There's an initial sort of phase, and then it's political who gets let in afterwards. And that's what we're going for here. So Shibaku's like the first tribe of potentially many. And we'll bring in new tribes to the kind of global tribes DAO thing, and they'll have to collaborate. Our initial kind of working title for this project was Unite the Tribes. And the goal is to try and get the different warring tribes in crypto to talk to each other. So can we get the Ethereans to settle the differences with the Bitcoiners, for example? And the thinking behind that is, what's our unified thing that we're all going to collaborate on? And the secondary market fees, so every time a Shibaku is traded, at the moment 7% of all the trading fees goes into a DAO. And that's what the tribes are going to need to collaborate on in order to spend that money. And they can spend it on whatever they want. They can spend it on a big party. So that's the kind of theory behind tribes DAO.
Yeah, and I think like also what's good is we've talked about the mint price and the allocation, and obviously the curating the future holders and who those whitelists should be. The other votes we've done, we can do votes on anything, and the technology from finance.vote, the influence.vote, it's so straightforward to both set up a vote and then action that vote and then action the results of said vote in a really short space of time. The versatility that dApp gives you is central to the project and how quickly we change certain parameters or get a signal from the tribe. And I think we've done meme contests where people have voted on their favorite memes. We recently launched one which was who is the best influencer in the space and who do you want us to approach next in terms of whether it's a mint party. I think at that point we hadn't talked about mint parties, we just said, look, who's your favorite influencer in the NFT space? Tell us, and we'll approach them with your thoughts and see if we can strike up a collaboration of some sort, even down to like the naming of the token. That the Shibakus have a token of its own very soon, which will become the currency of all the metaverse mini games, and the name of that token, potentially even the token supply. All of those things will also be decided on by the tribe and the DAO. I've said this before from a sort of more of a broader perspective in terms of DAOs. There's very few DAOs that have the tech that I would imagine all the people here in the Twitter spaces who own a Shibaku have probably taken part in a vote or at least seen the software. And those people immediately fed back on Discord and said, oh God, that was really fun. That made voting was really fun using that app. It was really straightforward. It was really simple. And that tech just doesn't exist in the majority of other DAOs. And I think the fact that we've got it is, we're so fortunate that we've got.
So I've just tweeted the results of the top influencer according to the Shibaku tribe. So you can go and check out our voting tools now if you want. And yeah, that will take you to our voting DApp called influence.vote. And you can see the votes results. You get this kind of pie chart of the split. And it was an absolute runaway that Gary V is the top influencer in the NFT space with 465 votes. And if you go to the opinions feed, you can go and see why people thought these people were cool. And I don't know who half of these people are, most of them in fact, but there's a lot of information about who Bento Boy is, for example. And yeah, that's really cool. These things are designed to harvest collective intelligence. And so I think whether Gary V partners with us or not is a different matter, but we've got a DAO signal, a lot of voters, a few hundred voters in there that have decided they want to go in the direction. We're going to do the best we can as a DAO to get it done.
And I'm not an influencer, not even in my own house, but I would imagine being an influencer and seeing a sway of however many, like what percentage was it that Gary won by? I'm just trying to look on the results. Yeah, and like seeing that and then seeing the opinions from like the genuine opinions and thoughts from people who have voted for you. It's a nice feeling, no matter how big or huge an influence you are.
It's got to make a dent on even Gary.
Yeah, but yeah, so these are the sort of things that I think we're going to try and do more of regularly. We want to try and stand up at least a vote a week for the Shibaku tribe, and obviously that there's like I said, the token that's going to launch soon. There is an incentivization to vote via a vote mining airdrop, right, Nick?
Yeah. So with finance.vote tech, you get paid to vote as well. Anyone who's interacting with our voting technologies, you get part of an airdrop, which happens every quarter. We'll be airdropping free money, essentially, to people who turn up and vote. And it's dialed in to be the right amount of incentive to get people to make the effort of going. And because that requires thought. So it is work. And one of the people that, one of the big things that are like, people say, oh, DAOs just vote on everything and you've just got to vote all the time. And it's going to be a real pain in the arse. And that is the case. There will be people who just go utterly crazy with it. And you end up voting on pointless stuff. So the kind of baseline is, even if it's pointless, you get some money out of it. So turn up and vote.
There's a question that's come in via the Discord from Phil, who's listening, regarding the other dApps that finance.vote have. And he's asking, will they be showing up in relation to Shibaku? Obviously, it's super early on this, and this is mega alpha in some ways. There's talk of a yield variant for the token so that people can stake their tokens using the yield app, which will be slightly different to obviously
the press. We've just spent 3 hours in a product meeting talking about the token economics and the metaverse of the Shibaku thing. It's a play-to-earn game, so it's going to need its own native currency. That currency gets airdropped to the Shibaku holders in some structure. We might weight it by trait or rarity or carrot, but basically anyone holding a Shibaku gets some percentage of this token supply, as yet to be determined. It'll be something around 10%. The remaining half of the tokens go into a DAO treasury, into the Shibaku tribe treasury. That's their currency. They can decide how to spend it on whatever they want. And they essentially will play a game we're calling Coins of Destiny, which is a symbolic lottery. So instead of numbers, so typically in a lottery, you would draw 6 from 49 numbers. It's about 130 million to 1 that you'll match 6. In this case, you're drawing 6 from 60, so the probability space is much, much higher. And you have 6 symbols on your Shibaku, and you're trying to match them with a daily draw that's hosted in our little metaverse space. If you go to metaverse.com, shibako.tribesdao.com, you can see what our little metaverse system looks like at the moment. And people will plug their Shibakus into that and roll it, and it'll be like a lottery. We're already doing this in our Discord. I think we're giving away like probably too much money a day on this at the moment. But anyway, we're giving away more money than we should be in our Discord playing this game already, which is a kind of simulation of what's going to happen with the NFTs. As regarding to how we'll do this with our tech, we will probably do an airdrop. So we'll use bank.vote, and we'll do an auction for anyone who doesn't have a Shibaku, wasn't in the airdrop, to participate as well, because they'll be able to stake their tokens on Shibakus, and they'll be able to stake them in little guilds of Shibakus. So you'll be able to collaborate with other Shibakus to form a syndicate to play this. And then we've got other mini games as well, where Chris has been running this quiz in the Discord, which has been absolutely awesome. So we're going to build a metaverse quiz show, and we'll also have little trait battling things. And all of this is 70% built. We've got the tools to launch the token, the airdrop. We can set up a liquidity mining system with yield, which might have a metaverse land dimension to it. So we've got little houses on there that you hold these slots. Yeah, we're going to do this in the next quarter, I think. Quite a lot of it. It's going to be exciting.
Wow, cooperative lottery really blew my mind. Like forming little syndicates. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
If the best way to play lotteries is in syndicates, right? Because the chances of you can play a lottery for 190 years and never win the jackpot twice a week. But if you collectivize the probability of winning, you don't win the $100 million jackpot, but you win more frequently. So the more you collectivize in a lottery, the better your chances of earning money over time playing the game.
Exactly. And I'll preface this by saying everything is subject to change, obviously. But the current thinking, Nick, is that we are looking at the potential to have the lottery draw and potential claim window happen at a random hour every day. So there is a finite amount of time for you to see the draw and then claim you're winning as a draw, as a syndicate or as an individual. And so by forming a syndicate, let's say you might want to actually populate your little guild with people all around the world, so it's not always 3 a.m. for someone. There's a chance that it might be 3 p.m. for someone, and then a signal will go out, the lottery's gone live, and one of your team goes, oh, this is on my shift, I'm going to go in, check our numbers, and as long as one of you from your syndicate checks the numbers, all of your active Shibaku within that guild qualify to potentially win that day's draw.
Yes.
So that we're trying to basically, obviously the lottery thing is working really well in its basic form on Discord now, and everyone's really involved with the collaborative elements to it to make it a bit more of a bit more meat on the bone, basically.
So do you know why I love this? It's a international coordination game. In order to be able to essentially activate this lever and participate in this game, you have to team up with people in different time zones than you. And the more people that are in it, the more chance you have of hitting it.
And so you want someone in a different time zone, but then you're also like, Clive is in a different time zone, but Rob here's got 4 UFOs, and I really want to have Rob in the team. So there's a real, and obviously with the size limit to the guilds and stuff, it's going to be a really fun, literally a transfer window of going, let's get rid of Clive, let's bring in Rob.
Yes, we should mention the matching coins. So the 6 symbols on the Shibaku itself is like a lottery in itself. So each the 6 slots and each have 60 coins in, and there's essentially a random on each of the slots, but some of the symbols are rarer. And because the 6 independent slots, you can end up with 3 or 4 matching coins natively on your Shibaku when you mint it, which means that you're in a winning position in the lottery every day.
And what's really cool is when we went live with Rarity Sniper yesterday, I asked if they could add a feature which allowed you to search via the duplicate coins that you have, for example. That's now become a trait within itself. So 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, which we haven't had yet. But I think are there a couple of 5s? I think there's a few 5s, aren't there, of people who've got 5 of one symbol. But that's like a really, like, you've got a lot of friends. If you've got 5 of the same symbol at the moment, you've got a hell of a lot of buddies.
Yeah, I'm going to tweet a picture of the Shibaku, I think. so people can see it.
I also love the fact that in Discord now there are people organising syndicates.
Yes.
They're already going, quick, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, so what we're trying to solve here is one of the fundamental problems of these play-to-earn games. So that no one's cracked the token economics for this yet, because it tends to be with adoption, there's just a larger and larger group of people grinding at the game to snatch a finite part of tokens that sometimes gets more scarce over time. So you've got a part of tokens that's getting smaller and smaller, and if the game's doing well, you've got more and more people. So the amount of return essentially drops to zero, or drops to the point where everyone gives up, which is about where Axie Infinity is at the moment. So what you need is a finite amount of players, which is why NFTs are quite interesting at this, because it's not just there's an open gate. And that is the case in Axie as well. But what you need is a kind of buy-side pressure to it. So you'll be able to buy the token to influence your probability in the lottery. So we're calling this probability shaping. So you get to have a dynamic probability in the lottery based on the number of tokens you've got and the symbols on your Shibaku and who you collaborate with.
And it's what's good is that obviously the intricacies that Nick's just talked about there in terms of this, it's probably the reason our meeting was 3 hours long as well, is that this is just one of the mini games, right? And like what I've really enjoyed so far about the sort of design process of the mini games and stuff like that is they all start in a really simple place. It's always, this is like the base level of this game. It's fun and engaging as it is, and then just on top of that, you can start to add little layers that actually can be governed and tuned by the community once they go live, but that make it feel like a bit more of a beast of a game as opposed to a fun way to kick it for 10 minutes. It basically makes it stickier, is the annoying term, but it's like a game that you want to return to and you want to play. And I think at the moment, if I'm correct, all of these games so far can be participated in whether you are the main players or not. So you can back winners, you can be involved as passively as a viewer rather than as a competitor with each game in the way they're currently being designed. And yeah, like Nick says, hanging out with the gang that design all our engineers and our art team and stuff is just mind-boggling how talented they all are, and it's so exciting every time you get to see the next preview of what's coming.
Can we have them on Twitter Spaces sometime soon?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I would imagine it's the time zone that usually ends up being the biggest sort of limitation to that. But yeah, we would love to do that, and I think the more of the sort of concept art and time that we can share of our awesome art team, the better.
Sorry, I'm just in a lift. I don't know if you can still hear me. Yeah, so I want more people to be able to see what we see, because those guys are so cool and interesting characters and super, super talented. So the other sort of dimension to this is between them, there's a kind of engineer who builds the sort of metaverse rails, if you like. He's the kind of infrastructure focus. And then we've got two guys who are artists who can innovate in this thing and rapidly prototype 3D spaces. So we think we can integrate voting into the creation of these 3D worlds. So users in the DAO will be able to vote on what direction we go in narratively, and they'll build a 3D world around their choices, which is just incredibly cool, I think.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, we should definitely. What I think the plan is to get a channel open in the Discord. You may have just said this. Sorry, a channel open in the Discord for them to share their concept art and stuff, and have people vote on variables and stuff. But we should also do some spaces with them. The reason I was slightly distracted there, I was just reading another question in the Discord, which was Shibaku is the first tribe using these dApps. Are there any more on the horizon? Are you going to build more, or are you looking for other people to come in and build their own around your dApps? Nick, do you want to take this? Obviously, we're not committing to anything or saying anything specific at the moment, but yes, there are more tribes,
yes.
Right?
There's more tribes and there's more DAOs. So this quarter, we want to build a cool cohort of DAOs. We're just showing people what's possible with Shibaku, with the view of saying, hey, why don't you set up a DAO? You can do this kind of cool stuff with it. So yeah, we're going to start with a small number that we can just cope with our bandwidth. Our DAO helps launch DAOs. So we need to scale. But eventually the target is 1,000 DAOs a day. It's going to happen. So yeah, if you people that are interested in building a DAO, if you are, come to our Discord and talk to us. Delos here is going absolutely crazy and has requested, I'm going to see what Delos is up to. Delos, can you hear us? You've been mashing the symbols for the last 10 minutes. I presume you want to talk. Hey.
Yo, what's going on, boys and girls?
Thank you.
Yo.
How
how's it going,
are
man?
you?
I'm awesome, man.
I'm a little bit on the drunker side of things, but I love you all. I love you all. I love you all.
Thank you very much, my friend.
And
I'm jealous that you're drunk.
I'm actually more
What's
than
1
drunk,
o'clock?
by the
What, have you got a question for us?
You know what? I don't have a question. I have a speech because I think XRP and everything that's going along with that is going to kick the shit out of Ethereum and
Ripple
Bitcoin
right now.
Is that bad? I shouldn't shill Ripple? Sorry, boys. I don't know.
Just saying.
No, just don't, because it's a shit coin.
Is it? Boys?
You should, man. I think my description of it is it's a mechanism for stealing money from fools and directing it directly to Brad Garlinghouse's
We are
back
all
pocket.
a bunch of idiots and fools and losers, and we should. What should we do? What should we do? Nothing.
My advice, not financial advice, but my advice would be buy Shibaku and Ripple.
Buy Ethereum at least, man.
Oh, Ethereum is the worst. Okay. I bought what's that piece of shit? Shiba Inu.
Yeah, that is shit.
Oh, dude, trying to sell it, it's gonna cost me $1,500 just to dump.
Yeah, it's got one of those stupid slippage tolerant. Yeah, it's basically a scam. It's how these things work is you get these super high token supplies, so many numbers that no one can comprehend what they are. You buy like 20% of the token supply for $8,000, which is what someone actually did. And then if it becomes a massive meme coin of $30 billion, then you're sitting on $5 billion worth of tokens.
You seem like a smart man. What should we all do? What should we all do?
What should we all buy?
Should we dump Bitcoin? What should we do? Trust you, my friend.
I tell you what you should do is read Kobe's blog posts. He's given the best insight on the market that I've seen in years. And he talks about basically holding the majors is where you want most of your money, or read the trend, get into stables when it's like really going down, sit in the majors every other time and go into alts when
sorry to cut you
when
off.
they're pumping.
But what about XRP and all of the bank?
No one's using XRP. No one's rooting. Like XRP is so dodgy. It's a cryptocurrency with dodgy history, and there's no way banks are plugging into that.
And all of the CBDC, like everyone that I know that has a brain,
CBDCs are going to be ground up bills. CBDCs are going to be ground up bills. There's absolutely no way they're using Ripple, and they can just use it anyway. It's practically open source.
Yeah, Ripple sounds like a ripoff anyway. So if anyone knew about it.
So the principle is that XRP.
Okay, why is like Ethereum or Bitcoin or anything? If XRP gets the SEC go ahead, it's going to be the number one.
It's not going to get the go ahead. The SEC are trying to shut them down because they're a scam. And it's approved by the SEC. It's going to be a determination of how much of a scam it is. Brad Garlinghouse made $700 million.
All of
XRP.
These coins are scams. They're all scams. Bitcoin, Ethereum, everyone's a scam.
I'm gonna
say that XRP is the only one that gets the go ahead from the SEC. So what's wrong with that?
I'm going to jump in here quickly, and I'm going to put us back on track.
You've got me going on
Ponzi
debate.
Sorry.
No worries, dude. You enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah.
I didn't remember what we're talking about now.
Apologies for that. We got totally derailed by people shilling Ripple. I haven't seen anyone do that since 2017. That's not.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe,
isn't that weird?
I have maybe he's traveling in time. He's not only drunk.
He's from the past.
Sorry, Dilos, you're really lovely, but I removed you from speakers.
He did love us, though. He did love us.
Yeah.
Has anyone else?
And by the way,
I've got like
time travel.
10-15 more minutes.
Yeah, time travel is not a crime, but please don't do it when you're so drunk because you end up shilling Ripple in 2022.
Yeah, hit request. Anyone? I've got another request. Oh, it's Delos again. Does anyone else want to talk to? He wants back on.
I wonder whether, I don't know, you obviously had a funny round of, you had a sort of, a structure for how this call, I'm not sure the XRP interlude was part of that structure, but is there any stuff that you think you'd like us to go into a bit more detail about with Shibaku, whether it's looking back or looking forward?
I think, like, for me, I think we've covered a lot of ground, to be honest with you. I think looking at the future, I think what's going to be an interesting thing for people to get their head around is, and I think we slightly alluded to it, but how are the tribes going to actually work together in the meta DAO? So if tribes DAO is the meta DAO and you have all the other DAOs within there, how are these tribes going to work together? I think that could be interesting.
Go on, Nick.
We don't know yet is the answer. So when you've got we don't know how DAOs are going to interact with each other. Everyone's excited about this DAO to DAO collaboration. That's what this is. There's going to need to be new tools to be built to facilitate it, but I think you'd be able to predominantly communicate through the votes. So you can have common votes, for example, between DAOs, vote on what your preferences are, see how they align or disalign based on the community. And then you can start building proposals together, and then essentially it's a consensus vote, which is why we want tribes in each tribe, with the option for them to let more people in if they want, because that allows them more voting power. So it's a bit game theoretical. It's going to be a conversation. I think it's predominantly going to be done through voting.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's going to be interesting.
Is there, because obviously the mint allocation, total mint is 10,000 Shibakus. Is the intention to get to mint all 10,000, or is burning on the table? Or definitely?
It's going to be up to, I think there was in the last vote. I think we might have had burning as an option. I think
we had pause,
I think I wouldn't want them to. I think eventually the game will play out that they want to make it bigger, not make it smaller. But it'll be up to the DAO, essentially. And you came up. Have you got a question for us?
Yeah, I wanted to make a semi-witted comment about the event with the XRP ceiling. So I did get wrecked. I bought on the top on 2017, and that's why I'm still poor. And I hope Pep will save me. But you did have dystopia on the title,
did.
So
getting wrecked on XRP for the rest of your life. That's
I know. I hope Shibaku will redeem me. But anyway, I wanted to point out an important thing that I think we haven't really examined about mechanism design in the DAOs. I think a very important thing is, how can I say it, collective mythology, cultural symbolism, something that beyond the technicalities can bind people together. So we might had an example of 2017 ceiling, but this happens because there is an underlying mythology, something that binds all the people of a community, even though there is no voting and no proper DAO design. So how can we make it a little bit more a little bit more recent? How can we design some principles in order to help future DAOs bind together as a culture, not only through the awesome voting system that is the quadratic voting of finance.vote, and yes, I bought finance.vote now, I'm not sealing it. But yeah, apart from the voting mechanism, perhaps cultural skeleton, blueprint that can help build a mythology.
It's funny you say so. I just want to interject quickly. I'm actually thinking that all these voting technologies, they nothing without this culture and like practice thing. You know what I mean? It's almost like something that I imagine on top. Like these consensus technologies that we're building, they're almost supposed to just give a voice to this thing that is this collective mythology that is impossible to turn into numbers, and like it's super hard to execute on the decisions of this collective mythology or memology or whatever.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna go.
The semantic governance stuff I think we're doing is something that's supposed to help that. But I shut up now.
NFTs come in because culture's like reified as a community in a variety of different ways. It's both the dialogue, the action, and the kind of output and now we've got art, which we can create and incorporate into token systems.
And even better, a story, not just art. We need stories. It's not the first person, I think, who tried to systemize mythology was Joseph Campbell. If you know of him, he wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces, and he made a skeleton key on how stories and mythologies are made. And George Lucas openly admitted that he used the exact same skeleton key to build the Star Wars universe.
So in essence, I've done a bit of this. If you look at our white paper, I conceptualized the project we're working on in 3 phases, and took the inspiration from 3-act structure. So there's like an end. 3-act structure is integrated into our project. Actually, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think the phrase I've used before is that popular cryptocurrencies are cults with coins. And like we've had the XRP cult in, and Delos is still mashing away at those buttons. Interesting guy.
Was it also Doge because there was this meme that supposedly made you feel okay when you looked at it? So it was like everybody had the first
memes. Memes are the other kind of memes are the engine. I mean, Shibaku's going to have a currency, and it's going to be a meme coin.
Yeah, as for the dog, I don't think it's only a meme. It was like having your own dog in the metaverse because you opened the cell phone, you looked at the picture, and it was like you were looking at your dog. So it was like the first non-moving, non-digital dog that kept you company in a very weird way, made you feel better in a very weird way.
We've got NFTA here who's got a stoner cat, and I've just had a stoner cat for a couple of months. And yeah, it's looking at these avatars. It's interesting. I think that's why NFTs are working at the moment, I think. Have you got a question, NFTA?
I was jumping up on behalf of time travelers because I'm also a time traveler, just not drunk. So D-Loss, no hate to you. Just
what year are you from?
Oh, I don't know actually. I haven't discovered that yet, but I know that I've been around, I think. So I appreciate.
Are we talking eons?
Is it
past?
Yeah. Definitely. Learning about it over an FET, the Eternals. I think we might be Eternals, maybe. Try not to time travel while we're drunk and or stoned.
Trans-dimensional beings.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes, we're all. I think that it definitely goes back. I didn't have to speak. I have to jump up for time travelers because not all of us are drunk.
Well,
doing great.
Time travelers fully represented in this hour.
Yes, of course. And I just want to echo what you're saying about the stoner cat or the Shibaku or any of these NFTs that we have. It really is a piece of identity. And I've read a little bit of direction from FET, and because I think you guys are geniuses, you ladies and guys and everyone, the pups are geniuses. So learning a little bit more about that is interesting too. Social identity tokens and making this jump into Web3 for all of us. It's exciting to see all the tribes start to show up and start to vote and start to make those decisions. I'm excited to see it. So thanks for holding this call.
That was lovely. Yeah.
Also, I mean, I always think that every time I look at it. Oh, sorry, Nick. I was going to say, every time I look at these spaces and I see the avatars from the different NFT tribes, as it were, all here, we're already collaborating and hanging out because we're all in this call, chatting and sharing knowledge and letting a drunk guy talk to us about XRP and like that. This is the beginning of it anyway. This is like the ethos of the NFT tribes. The NFT community is, broadly speaking, a very friendly, welcoming community, and that's half the battle in getting everyone to collaborate. We're already there.
Absolutely. Person we haven't spoken to is Stefan. How's it going, mate?
Hey, yeah, amazing conversation, except the part that I wouldn't suggest anyone buying. But one thing that I think somebody said, maybe Nick, it was you, I didn't catch that, it was that someone said that there will be 1,000 DAOs created every day. And that really resonated with me. So first of all, I do believe that I strongly share this vision. I don't know when we will get to that point. And I'm curious, basically my question or my curiosity is about what is needed, what is missing for us to get there. Because I think there's a lot of applications for DAOs from just small communities or educational organizations to businesses and for-profit organizations and even international regulatory bodies or a lot of different things.
Great question.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go in a few minutes. So this is a perfect way to sign off. So yeah, what's needed for 1,000 DAOs a day? That sounded utterly insane when I said it about a year ago. I said, that's what we're going to do. And even the people internally in the team went, Nick, you're mad. But it's when you understand how these things can scale and become instantly redeployable, and it becomes very easy to imagine these things to be spun up quickly when you've got global adoption. So adoption's one of them. We need a lot more people. It's like a rabbit hole. And what we're talking about here is at the bottom of the rabbit hole. And most people haven't got a clue what we're talking about. And so we need more people in the funnel. But technologically, what's missing is good tools for decision making. So Influence, which is our voting app, is the start of a chain of apps. So the next one's called Proposal. So that's how you can influence is like, what do we want to talk about? And then Proposal is what shall we do? And then the final piece is Decision, which is should we do it? And it goes from quadratic voting to yes, no at the end to action it. And that is the final missing piece for us. We think we're almost there. We just need this proposal system and this decision system. And the decision thing will do the trustless execution. So that's when you can be truly getting on for seriously decentralized, when you can have token votes that can do fairly arbitrary governance action with the treasury and smart contracts and all that sort of stuff. And that will use NFT voting, and we want it to be private, so that the final execution, you won't know who voted yes or no. You'll just know whether it was whether there was enough quorum of yes or no. You get an answer from that DApp, yes or no. And that's the missing piece. The rest of it is bundling it all up into a package that allows people to pick and mix the kind of DAO that they want. Do you want an NFT DAO? Do you want a token DAO? Do you want something in between? And then the sort of third final piece, which is, I think it's the big one, is we need examples of what you can do with it out in the world that gets people's imaginations going. There'll be a point where to get the 1,000 DAOs a day, you need hundreds of thousands of people wanting to be involved in DAOs, on ramping to crypto like every week, every month. You need to be on ramping to like billions of people being into crypto. And I actually think it's going to be DAOs that will probably do it, because they're just online communities, but with autonomy and the ability to spend money and make decisions together and stuff like that. It's a kind of cultural thing, it's a technological thing, and it's just a technology adoption thing.
I think that last one you said about examples as well is like, like the examples definitely will get people's imaginations going, but it's also like a confidence thing as well. That does two jobs, the examples.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's
okay,
going to be risky as hell. Don't leave your job to join a DAO. It's mental. Don't do it.
I also wanted to add to it. I think what I see is happening. Okay, I always add a little bit of a dark side. What I see is that maybe we will tend to reconstruct rituals from corporate world and trying to drag this into DAO space. And I see that sort of the DAOing culture will need to evolve, I think.
Yes, it's like, all I know is it's not a company.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, DAOs, like mini not projects. And what I see, even like a few years ago, I started seeing it in art space when people started talking about art projects. It's like the project thinking, this kind of idea that you just go and set up a project, like treating happenings as, and especially for our domain where we talk about all mechanism design, it's dangerous, right? Because these things, DAOs are really organic systems. So we're talking about blueprints. Can there be a blueprint for an organism? Probably not, because blueprints describe mechanisms. And we're not talking just simply about mechanisms. Even though we use all this technology, we're actually designing organic, we're evolving organic structures. Yeah.
And there'll be people that run DAOs in different ways. There'll be people who they'll get 20, 30,000 people into a DAO and drive their wages as low as possible, getting them doing Mechanical Turk type work. That's going to happen because that's what the technology makes possible. And that's the kind of more extreme end of it. But there'll be
a sweatshop DAO.
Sweatshop DAO. And yeah, these things already exist, right? There's click farms out there. But I think DAOs philosophically are different than the corporate structures that exist out in the real world. They're less hierarchical, they're more democratic, they're more open. You don't get a vote in a company. If you're at the bottom rung of a corporate ladder, no one cares about you, wants your opinion. Whereas DAOs are explicitly about collecting as much opinion as possible and using that opinion to inform the direction of the whole thing. So I think it's a new kind of, the way I've been describing it is DAOs are, if companies are like a facade, like what Facebook is what you are projected. It's a black box on is what's projected to you. There's all sorts going on underneath the surface that you don't know about. It's a black box. That's what's going to be different in Web3 world. And what will come out of that is the way that DAOs work, which is radically transparent, open, full open ledgers of finances, completely democratic access to a treasury. That's going to radically change the whole ethos of the way that business is done. And companies are this facade that you look at. It's just a projection. Whereas DAOs are people. Sum is a people. It's not a facade. It's the sum whole of a transparent group of people doing something. And ideally, you can come and get involved if you want. And there'll be paths for anyone to get involved. So I call it an abstraction of people. It's A DAO is just a group of people doing something. The technology is almost supposed to be transparent. They're just tools. And that's why we like infrastructure. Our job is to eventually disappear and allow people to design it in any way that they want. So that wasn't too weird.
I think the last sentence is like the key.
Absolutely, man. So anyway, I really enjoyed that. I've got to run off to another meeting. But yeah, let's do this again next week.
Thanks a lot for hosting.
100%.
Yeah, thanks very much, everyone. I shall be leaving. See you later.
Cool. Thanks everyone for coming. Hopefully we'll host something with a Shibaku, mysterious Shibaku 3D people.
History about them. It's just a shroud of like creativity that makes it seem mysterious, but they just think on a different level to everyone else.
Yeah. I
sort
also
of-
have this like glimpse of really psychedelic thinking that I would like to be closer to that. Let's
anyone
try
has
to.
follow-up questions, by the way, drop them into the main chat of the Shibaku Discord. If anyone had a question that didn't get answered, please just shout it there and I'll go through them there. But yeah, thank you, finance.vote gang.
Okay, cool. Have a nice, wonderful time of the day, everyone. Good morning. have a wonderful morning, everyone. Bye.
See you later, folks.
Enjoy 1997, everyone.